Hey y'all, it's Amanda, and today we're continuing on with our beginner gardening series. This is video 8, raised beds versus in-ground versus containers. What's best for beginners? Okay, so one of the biggest questions I get from beginner gardeners is, where should I plant? And the truth is, there's no right answer. So what we're going to do is today we're breaking down raised beds, in-ground gardens, and containers so you can choose what fits your space, soil, and energy. And I think it's really easy to think you can just go outside and just plant something in the ground. But really, there is a little bit of planning involved in that. And so going through these specifics is extremely helpful. So the topics we're going to cover together today, we're going to cover in-ground gardening. We're going to cover raised beds. We're going to cover container gardening. We're going to do which one is best for you. Mixing methods is smart. And this will be fun to go through all this with y'all. Okay, starting with in-ground gardening. This is the most traditional and often the most misunderstood portion of gardening, in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about what in-ground gardening is. In-ground gardening is literally planting directly into your soil or gardening space that you already have directly in ground. No containers, no raised beds, nothing like that. Directly into your current ground. And there are pros and there are cons with that. Let's start with the pros. The pros is you have a larger growing space. It's just way easier to plant in ground and have a giant space as opposed to trying to get the same amount of square footage through container gardening, perhaps. It is also less cost up front in that you're not buying containers, you're not buying raised beds, you're not dealing with any of that. Now let's talk about some cons for in-ground gardening. Specifically in my area, clay soil challenges. The soil is not always exactly what is conducive for whatever plants you might be growing. So you really have to learn about the soil that you're planting in. If it's heavy in clay, it has to be amended. Drainage issues, maybe you have standing water in those areas and those drainage issues are a problem. So that has to be fixed. And compaction, a lot of ground that hasn't been worked or gardened for years can be compacted. And so that has to be loosened up in order to be able to grow in it. So one of the best things you can do is if you want to in-ground garden is you want to amend that soil. You want to dig around that soil, check it out. If it has a lot of clay, you want to add in shale and organic matter. If it's got some drainage issues, you want to probably potentially add in some grit and some sand, or figure out a way to allow the water to drain purposefully away from that area, like building it up so that the water drains off to the sides, creating a French drain, whatever kind of works best for your situation. Compaction quite frequently is an issue. Typically, if you're going to do some in-ground gardening, you're going to go in, you're going to remove whatever grass or whatever's on top of that. And at that time, you can use a pitchfork to go ahead and aerate that soil. So aerate, pushing the pitchfork in, loosening up that soil, and then adding amendments. It is rare that you're going to be able to just plant directly in the ground and everything's fine. You almost always you're going to have to amend the soil in some way, and amend means change or add things to it, like compost or sand or shale or grit. And then almost always you're going to have to deal with some drainage issues as well. Those are the biggest issues when working with in-ground gardening. Now, being more specific to my area, Texas Zone 8, clay soil needs organic matter, time, and patience. And I have been amending my soil for multiple years, and we're finally getting to a point where I'm feeling really good about it. Working in ground is less expensive, but it's definitely going to take more time and more patience. That soil is not going to change in one season. You're going to have to amend it for multiple seasons. Okay, let's go on to raised beds. And I feel like raised beds is by far the most popular for beginner gardeners. Raised beds give you control over the situation. It allows you to garden where you want. It allows you to control the soil. It allows you to control the drainage. It controls the size. Literally, raised beds give you so much control, and it can be achieved in multiple ways. So let's talk about pros for raised beds. Better drainage, because you're literally raising up the sides and then backfilling it with soil so that water can drain out easily. Improved soil quality. You're going to be filling it with a mixture of gardening soil, or actually specifically raised bed soil, mixing it with compost, grit, a lot of stuff to really kind of improve the quality of that soil. And it's easier maintenance because you're not dealing with weeds at that point. It's a contained location, and so it's easier to maintain that location. Cons of raised beds. Higher cost up front. That's probably the biggest con for raised beds. You have to figure out some kind of side. A lot of people like to buy the metal raised beds. I have the metal raised beds. They're fairly inexpensive. You can do reutilize products, old wood scraps. There's a lot of different things you can do with raised beds that can be a little bit more cost effective. However, backfilling it with soil is pretty expensive. Typically a typical 4-foot by 8-foot bed that's about 12 inches tall, it's going to need, gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 8 bags of soil, then compost, then some sand and grit. You probably want to do stuff like blood meal mixed in, worm castings. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you mix into it. So that kind of is a lot more expensive up front. However, like I said, it gives you control over the situation. It allows you to start gardening faster. It's just a little bit more expensive. So why do beginners love raised beds? Because it's faster success. And there's something to be said about that as a beginner gardener, having some success up front to continue to motivate you moving forward. And raised beds really give you that fewer soil issues. This is one of the big issues, especially if you're like me in this Texas Zone 8 area and we deal with clay soil. Clay soil is the worst. It's awesome because it has a ton of nutrients in it, but drainage is tough. It's really hard for roots to go through it. So you do have to amend that soil. And if you start with a raised bed, you don't really have to deal with it. So for example, in my front and side gardens, I do all in-ground gardening there. In my backyard, I have a little bit of in-ground gardening, but I have mostly raised bed gardening, and I love it. And it allows me to plant crop after crop and grow year after year. Just a reminder, with those raised beds, you do need to amend them every year. You need to add in compost, you need to add in nutrients every year to make sure that you can continue to grow the quality of that soil. Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite ways to garden, and that is container gardening. So container gardenings are perfect for flexibility. You can pretty much turn almost anything into a container. You don't have to go buy all the containers. You can repurpose different items. You can find stuff on the side of the road, Facebook Marketplace. I love the potential of containers. It really leads to a high level of creativity. So let's talk about pros for container gardening. It's portable. So if you are a new gardener, say you have an apartment and you're gardening on your porch area, on your balcony area, this will allow you, container gardening allows you to take all your containers with you for wherever your next location is. I talk to a lot of gardeners who are retired and they live in kind of smaller homes that really kind of may have a garden style and they just have a small backyard, and having containers allows them to move things around, take it with them, adjust as they need. It's great for patios. It's great for renters. It's easier soil control in that you are controlling the soil that is going into containers. Quite frequently with containers, you're going to want to use a potting soil or container soil for those planters and containers because you're going to need a certain amount of drainage so that these can drain nice and simple. I also feel like container gardening, like I said, is an opportunity to be very creative. You can turn almost anything into a pot. And so a lot of times I like to go to the thrift stores, check things out, maybe just big metal bins. Who knows what you'll find on the side of the road. I've seen people turn dresser drawers into planters. There's so many things that you can turn into planters and containers that is very cost effective, but also very creative. Okay, some cons for containers. They are fast drying, so you really have to pay attention and make sure you're watering them efficiently. And I think one of the big issues for me in Texas Zone 8 is it gets so hot in July, August, and September that quite frequently some of my containers have to be watered twice a day because that's how hot it is outside. So making sure that you're watering them adequately is very important. So they can be very time consuming if you're having to water a lot. And that frequent water can be frustrating, especially if you decide you want to go on vacation and maybe you have a lot going on and you forget about it in a couple of days, because quite frequently plants planted in containers are far more sensitive to dying and drying out due to inadequate watering than things that are in the ground or in raised beds. One other issue I think that is a con for container gardening is it can be restrictive in what plants you can and cannot grow. There's a lot of things that don't do as well, larger shrubs, trees, and such in containers. So quite frequently it's going to reduce the amount of the type of plants that you can grow in containers. Okay, so we've got in-ground, we've got raised beds, and we've got container gardening. So how do you know which one is best for you? Because that's the real question. I mean, really look at your space, your time, and your energy. The best method is the one you'll actually maintain. That's the best method. Look at your time. Look how much time you have available to devote to your garden on a daily or weekly basis. Look at your budget. Look at your space. Look at these things and start smaller, start simpler. If you're really excited about doing in-ground, start with a just 4-foot by 8-foot area. Dig up, amend that area and go ahead and start planting there. Start with a smaller space. Don't fill everything with tons and tons of in-ground gardening until you are sure that the in-ground gardening method is for you. Same thing with raised beds. Don't go buy 8 or 10 raised beds. Buy 1 or 2. Backfill those with the soil you need. Spend a season maintaining and learning if this method works for you. And if it does, great. You can proceed with more raised beds in the future. And then I feel like container gardening is the easiest one to give it a try. And then if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Especially if you buy your containers secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. Backfill them with soil, go through the process, see if you're able to keep up with its water needs, if you're able to grow the plants that you're wanting to grow, or if the container gardening restricts those. So check that out. And then if container gardening doesn't work for you, it's really easy to just sell those afterwards. Sell them right back on Facebook Marketplace. But taking the time to try some of these methods on a smaller scale before jumping feet first into this is extremely important. My garden is not giant, but it's a good sized garden for this small suburban space. But it did not start like this. It started with just a bunch of grass, and I dug a 4-foot by 8-foot bed in ground and started with that one. And then I added and built over the years, added raised beds, added container gardening, added more in-ground gardening, and built and added over the years as I learned what worked best for me, my time, and my energy. So ask yourself these 3 things when you're trying to decide between in-ground, raised beds, and container. How much time do I have? How much time do you have to devote to this? If it's once a month, reconsider. But if you have an hour or 2 per week, what's going to make sense for that? Is it going to be the in-ground, the raised bed, or the container gardening? Ask yourself, how close is my water source, right? If you want this beautiful in-ground garden, but it's 250 feet away from the water source, are you willing to transport water? Can you afford to have hoses or lines run to that garden? So really think through that process. If you love container gardening, but you are in an apartment and you're going to have to fill it up at the sink, how many containers are you willing to have? How many times are you willing to go back and forth between the sink and your balcony in order to water those? Think about how close your water source is. And then finally, how much sun does this spot get? This is super important. Look at if it's getting full sun, part sun, full shade. All of that makes a difference on what you can grow and how much you can grow. But if you ask yourself those 3 things, how much time do I have? How close is my water source? And how much sun does the spot have? Then at that point, you should be able to make a fairly educated decision on what works best for you. All right, and my final topic to talk about today is mixing methods is smart. You don't have to choose just one of these. Absolutely. You do not have to choose just one of these. You can try a little bit of everything. You can go half and half. You can do whatever you want. But mixing these methods is smart because some things do great in containers. I have a shade garden area that has a drainage problem, right? So I don't have any in-ground planters in the shade garden area. I have all containers and all raised beds, and it works great in that area. However, I have a full sun area in the middle of my backyard that has excellent drainage, and so I have some in-ground gardening and I have some raised beds in those areas. My front and side gardens, they were partially built when I got here and I added on to them. They have excellent drainage as I'm at the top of the hill and everything kind of slides down. So I have all in ground there because the drainage makes sense. You know, going through those and mixing up different ones that work best for you is awesome. I also think it creates a more interesting garden. Even in my in-ground garden beds, I have containers tucked back in those because it creates height and interest in the space. So a couple of ways to use these. You can use like raised beds. You can use those for veggies. Containers you can use for herbs and flowers, and in-ground for perennials. So you can have 3 different methods for 3 different types of flowers. Or plants, I should say. But mixing it, I think, is super fun. And I think that you can mix a little bit at a time. Like I said, the most important thing is to start on a smaller scale as a beginner gardener and figure out what works best for you before investing a massive amount of time and energy and money. Okay, choosing the right growing method saves time, money, and frustration. Having a plan before you step into gardening is important. Now that plan can change and adapt, but having a jumping off point is really great. And really going out there and figuring out, do I want in-ground? Do I want raised beds? Do I want container gardening? Or do I want a mix? Is really gonna help you get off on a great start. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed just talking about the differences between these 3 styles of gardening. This is my 8th video in the Beginner Gardening series. If you want to continue to learn about the Beginner Gardening series, there's going to be a link at the end of this video that will take you to the playlist. I created 14 videos starting at the beginning of January. I should be wrapping up between mid to late February. And those 14 videos, once you get through them, you should be good and have a great amount of knowledge for starting to garden. Okay, video number 9 is next, and it is how to choose healthy plants at big box stores, which is really important at this time of year, especially in my area, because we're about 4 to 6 weeks out from plants starting to show up at the nurseries, and choosing the best healthy plants is super important. All right, and if you're like me and you're on a gardening journey and you would like to do that gardening journey with some friends, be sure to check out my Patreon community. The link is in the video description below. It's just a great group of people who like to talk about gardening. We talk on a daily basis. If you decide to be a certified Mad Gardener, you get to exclusive content, including lives, videos only available to patrons, group chats, photo sharing, and direct messaging to me. So you can ask whatever questions you have. All right, you all, as always, she's a Mad Gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.